Hey everyone, in this video I'm gonna explain our helper function and multi storage configuration. These are really important because we'll be using them multiple times across the project. So it's better to keep them separate and reusable. Let's start by opening the folder called upload Cloudinary. So I'm inside helper folder, and then let's open this one, upload to Cloudinary. You can see the name, yeah. So upload to Cloudinary, that means we are going to upload a file, right? So at the top, at the top, we import a few things. First, FS, the file system module, to work with files locally. Second is path, to handle file path and extension. Second is Cloudinary from our config file, where we have already set up the Cloudinary credential. Since we are using ES6 modules, we have to manually import FS and path like this, right? So, and next, I define an asynchronous function. I define this asynchronous function because uploading involves network request and takes some time. The function takes two parameters. First one, the file path, the local path of the file you wanna upload. Second one, an optional configuration object. I have set it to an empty object by default. Inside try block, the first things I do is grab the file's extension using path.xname, then passing file path dot lowercase. Then I make it lowercase. And then I check whether whether the file is an image or a video. So if option resource type does not exist, so I'm checking this way, includes. Okay, so if MB4 or move, we know it's video. Otherwise we treat as an image. This way, if no option are provided, the function automatically figures out the correct resource type for Cloudinary, right? This is the code is all about. After that, we call Cloudinary's upload API like this. This is the Cloudinary, this is the uploader API, and this is the upload method. And it takes two parameters. First is the file path, second is the option, right? And the file path and upload option, it returns a result object containing all the file details like URL, public ID, and so on and so forth. Now, and then you can see I return it, right? So we can use it in different way. And so now if something goes wrong during upload, we handle it in the catch block. We log the error and throw it again so it can be handled by the parent function. And finally, we call fs unlink sync and passing file path as a parameter. That deletes the temporary file from our local system after its upload successfully. Because remember, Multer temporarily stores the file before sending to Cloudinary. Once the upload is done, we don't need that local copy anymore. And that's how our upload to Cloudinary helper works: simple, clean, and efficient. We will use it in multiple places, like when we post something, right? So definitely we add image or video. So as I talk about this one, so let's move on to the delete from Cloudinary, right? So yeah, here at the top, I import Cloudinary from our config file, since that's where we have already set up Cloudinary credential. Then I define the function. It's again an asynchronous function because it interacts with Cloudinary's API, which is third-party service that take time to respond. This function accepts two parameters: a file URL, the full Cloudinary URL of the file you wanna delete. Second one is resource type, which can be image or video. I have set it to image by default. And now if there is no file URL provided, we immediately throw an error because Cloudinary obviously can't delete something if we don't tell it what to delete. Inside try block, the first step is to parse the file URL. So we are using URL parse variable, and URL is a built-in JavaScript class that allows us to extract the path name path, which basically represent the path of the file on server, Cloudinary server. Next, we need to clean that path and extract the public ID. So I'm doing here this way: path name dot substring, and I'm just passing path name dot index of, then upload plus 8. So here's what happens step by step, right? So, and then I remove the version folder, right? So public ID with extension, and then I use replace all the symbol with the empty string, and then remove the file extension like this way, replace all the stuff. And then once we have that public ID, we call the Cloudinary uploads destroy method like this. This is the API and this is the method, and it accepts two things: public ID and second is option, because this tells Cloudinary, hey, delete this file, and we pass both public ID and the resource type. And resource type could be image or video. If the deletion succeeds, Cloudinary returns a result object confirming it, right? So we simply return that result from our function. If anything goes wrong, for example, if the file doesn't exist or the request fails, we handle it in the catch block, log the error for debugging, and rethrow it so our app can handle it properly, right? Yeah, and then we export, so we can use it, right? This is the delete from Cloudinary function. And now the last one, let's talk about the Multer storage. So inside config we have that Multer storage, and let's talk about it. So at the top we import the basic things like Multer from Multer package, path from Node.js, file URL to path from URL, and FS for working with the file system. Since we're using ES6 module, Node doesn't give us dir name or file name automatically, so we create them manually using file URL path, file URL to path, right? So here like import meta URL for the file name, and then path dir name, file name for the directory name, right? And now this line ensure that our temporary folder exists. I join the directory name with public temp to create a path called temp path, right? Temp path. Then I check if that folder already exists, right? Check. If not, I create it using fs mkdir sync, passing temp path, and then recursive true. After that, I create a file name sanitize, just a small helper function that replace anything that's not a letter or number with an underscore. So I'm using replace, right? And and next I define the storage configuration using Multer disk storage. The first property, the first property is a destination decides where to save uploads files. So inside it, so inside it, so this is the first destination. Inside it, I'm passing a request file callback function, right? And then null and temp path, right? So, and then the second one is file path, a file name. The second property is file name, and that decide how to name the file. So here I take the original file name, remove the extension using path parse, and then I passing file original name dot name, right? And to make each file unique, and yeah, and then gets extension, right? Get extension, and to make file unique, I just append the current timestamp, something like this way, right? So I'm using backtext, and then I'm passing name and then date, right? So finally I pass this to the callback with cd null and new file name. This is the file new, yeah. And at the bottom I simply export this storage so we can use it in our routes whenever we handle uploads. And that's it. Our multi storage configuration is ready. Now any file you upload will be stored temporarily in the public folder with a clean unique clean unique name before being sent to Cloudinary. I hope that makes sense.